Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me on the Listen Up Girl podcast, your go to podcast for stories shaping our world, culture, and community. I'm your host, Zach Randles-Friedman, and today's episode is emotional, political, and honestly, a lot. We're talking about a devastating loss in the drag community, raising anti-LGBTQ plus legislation across the globe, a bold act of protest in Kansas, and even a surprising name entering the political conversation. So buckle up because we've got a lot to get into. First, drag community mourns Misua. We're starting today with a heartbreaking news. The Filipino drag community is mourning the loss of Misua, a rising star who passed away in her sleep on April 2nd at just 27 years old. Misua, whose real name was Jason LV Tai, had just been cast on Drag Race Philippines Season 4. And I mean, just days before her passing, World of Wonder released a statement saying they were heartbroken and production of the upcoming season has been temporarily paused. And honestly, you can feel the weight of this loss. Misua wasn't just a performer, she was a creator, a graphic designer, and part of the House of La Fea, and someone who made every single element of her drag herself. That kind of artistry, that's rare. Even her name had meaning. Inspired by her grandfather's favorite comfort food, that tells you everything about who she was. Creative, personal, rooted, and tributes have been pouring in. One fellow queen said, "I can't wrap my head around it. I feel so blessed to have met you in this lifetime." And her family confirmed the loss with a message that really hits. She was their son, brother, mentor, and most of all, a star. This is one of those moments where we are reminded how fragile life is and how much impact someone can have in such a short time. So, very sad. Next, we have a political shakeup at the Department of Justice. So, switching gears to politics, the orange convicted felon has reportedly fired Attorney General Pam Bondi, citing frustration with her leadership at the Department of Justice. Bondi has been a controversial figure, particularly for her stance and actions involving LGBTQ plus rights. And let's be real, this isn't just about one person getting fired. This signals ongoing instability and power shifts within political leadership. And those shifts always impact marginalized communities first. But I am very glad to see that bitch Pam Bondi gone because she is very anti-LGBTQ plus. Next, trans activist defies bathroom ban. On to Kansas, where an activist is making headlines for taking a very public stand. Trans activist Samantha Bosher intentionally used a woman's restroom inside the Kansas state capitol, directly defying a new anti-trans bathroom bill. And she didn't hide it. She actually informed Capitol Police ahead of time. This was deliberate. This was a protest. This was civil disobedience. And she said something that really struck me. She's willing to take the risk so that someone who else doesn't have to. And that is what activism looks like. Even more interesting, the governor, Laura Kelly, who had originally vetoed the bill, actually issued an apology to Bosher after the incident. And here's the bigger picture. The law still stands because the veto was overridden. And that's the tension we're seeing right now across the country. Individual support versus systematic policy. Now we go to Don Lemon enters the chat. And this one has surprised me. Former CNN anchor Don Lemon is now openly talking about the possibility of running for president. Yes, President of the United States. On Pod Save America, Lemon said, "Did I think about it? Yes. Could it happen? Yeah." He even went as far as saying he believes he can run the country better than the orange convicted felon. Now, whether you agree or not, here's what's interesting. We are entering an era where media personalities are becoming political contenders. And honestly, the line between celebrity and leadership is getting thinner and thinner. Do I think Don Lemon could be a president? I think he'd be amazing at it, from what little I know of what he would stand for. But let's see what happens. I think there's a lot of risk there. He's gay, he's African American, and is this country going to accept those two things? So I'm not sure. Next, NASCAR driver returns after homophobic incident. In sports news, NASCAR driver Daniel Dye has been reinstated after a suspension for homophobic behavior. Dye mocked another driver using stereotypes driving during a live stream, and the backlash was immediate. He was suspended and required to complete sensitivity training and dropped by his team. Now he's back, and he raises a bigger question. Is accountability happening, or is this just a reset button? Because education is important, but so is real change. So hopefully he learned his lesson, but we'll see. Our next story is global LGBTQ plus crackdown in Belarus and Russia. Our final story, we need to talk about what's happening globally. Belarus has passed a new law cracking down on LGBTQ rights, introducing punishments for what they call propaganda of LGBTQ plus identities. That includes fines, forced labor, and even jail time. Let me repeat that. You can now be punished simply for existing openly. And if that sounds familiar, it should, because this mirrors Russia, which now has officially labeled LGBTQ plus organizations as extremist and terrorist groups. We are watching history repeat itself in real time. Activists in Belarus are already reporting raids, arrests, and people fleeing the country. And one advocate said it best. This isn't new. It's now just legalized persecution. So take a deep breath. Today's episode was heavy, and we honored a life lost too soon. We saw courage and activism, and we witnessed an ongoing fight for LGBTQ rights, both here and around the world. If there's one takeaway from all this, it's this. Visibility matters, and speaking up matters. And community matters more than ever. If you think this episode would resonate with somebody you know, please share it with a few people. Leave a comment, and don't forget to follow. And also leave a review on the podcast platform that you're listening on this to. I am your host, Randles-Friedman. I'll be back tomorrow with more LGBTQ plus news.